Pinot Noir from varietal grape juice concentrate. Okay, today on Smoking and Drinking, we are going to make a Pinot Noir wine. And we are going to be using Nature Blessed Red Grape Pinot Noir Juice Concentrate. This is actual juice concentrate from the Pinot Noir varietal grape. So we have 1 quart of the juice. We'll add 3 quarts of water, purified drinking water, to it. And we'll add some pectic enzyme to help release all the sugars in the grape juice. It's not all that important because it is a juice concentrate, but it doesn't hurt. So we'll be adding pectic enzyme. We'll also be adding a wine tannin, a powdered wine tannin. Both of these products are North Mountain. And then we'll be adding yeast nutrient. We'll be adding Ferment O, 5 grams of Ferment O. This is something I've made before, so I have my notes from the last time I did it, and so I can reproduce this. I called this one the Emicat, and you ask why you call it that. Well, I mentioned in another video that I try and create drinks, whether it be a wine or a cider or mead or even a beer. Try and create things that are styled after people in my family and friends, and something they like or something that resembles them. And my oldest daughter likes Pinot Noir, so we are going to make a Pinot Noir. So let's get started. It's a pretty simple recipe, and we'll start with a 1 gallon narrow mouth fermenter. And we will go ahead and start by adding the juice concentrate. All these things have been sanitized in Star San in the sanitization bucket. So we're going to this is also sanitized. Obviously there's a seal on there, so that means that it is sealed for our protection. Need a little help getting it open. And right away, you get the smell of grape, kind of like grape jelly. It's very thick. It is a concentrate. So we're just going to add all of that in there. Pinot Noir is actually one of my favorite wine varieties. So this is going to be, I'm looking forward to this one. All right, and because we want to get every last drop, we will take some of our 3 quarts of water, 96 ounces of water, and put it in the container and rinse it out so we get every last drop of juice concentrate out of there. We'll just, I don't know, fill it half full or so. Doesn't really matter. Also rinses out the funnel. And put our cap on there. There's a lot of sediment or goop, or a lot of the heavier solids in the grape concentrate settled on the bottom. So we want to try and get it all rinsed out of the bottle and into our fermenter, because we want to use every last drop. We paid for it, we might as well use it. The Nature Blessed juice concentrate, the varietal juice concentrate, I get from from a company called Coloma Frozen. You can also get them on Amazon. They have several different varieties of of grape juice concentrate. So um, go out and check that out. So we've got our grape juice in there, and we want to go ahead and add our, let's add our pectic enzyme. You want to add your powders in before you put the last of your water in, so you could rinse out your funnel. The instructions are on the bottle for how much, and it says half a teaspoon per gallon. We have 1 gallon here, so I didn't grab the half teaspoon measuring spoon. We're going to just kind of eyeball it. Again, the PE isn't super important when you're using a concentrate, but I like to use it just to ensure that we get every chance, give our yeast every fighting chance. The wine tannin says 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per gallon, and a Pinot Noir is pretty tannic. So I'm going to use the 1/2 teaspoon as opposed to the 1/4. Just, I want to make it pretty tannic. Tannin is what adds that astringency, kind of like when you drink a glass of iced tea, you get that kind of, some call it a mouthfeel. So tannins will add that. Powdered wine tannin, I believe, is ground up chestnuts. I'm not sure about that exactly, but so we got those. We also need to add another powder, which is our ferment. I'm going to mix that in a little bit of water so that it doesn't clump so much, which isn't terribly much of a problem, but I like to have it as well mixed as I can so that the yeast have every fighting chance. And we are going to use 5 grams of ferment, which is 1 teaspoon. I have a scale, but it doesn't go down to the single grams. I'm still waiting for someone to give me one of those for my birthday or something. But 5 grams is 1 teaspoon, pretty close to 1 teaspoon. So we're just going to add that to our little bit of water, and we'll just give that a stir. Mix that up a little bit, and try not to make too much of a mess. Got a little more water than I needed, but that's okay. I have never said I was a clean chef. I'm a messy Marvin. I don't know if you are old enough to remember those commercials. That is me, Messy Marvin. But just want to try and get most of the clumps out. It's not super important. Eventually the yeast will get to it. It will dissolve. It all gets worked out in the fermentation, but I like to try and get as much of the lumps out as I can. We'll go ahead and add that in there. That'll wash some of the other powders down. And then we're going to add some more water just to rinse that out. I don't want to leave any of it in the funnel. Well, that powdered wine tannin likes to stick. Leave that a little help getting washed down here. There we go. All right, let's check our notes. We have our Pinot Noir juice concentrate, our 5 grams of ferment, half a teaspoon of pectic enzyme, and half a teaspoon of powdered tannin. And we have one final ingredient that we need to add. Uh, that makes the magic, and that's our yeast. For our yeast, we are going to use Lalvin D47. Why did I choose Lalvin D47? Well, I happen to have half a packet in the fridge still, and D47 is a good yeast for this style of wine. It will it has a fairly high alcohol tolerance, and with a Pinot Noir, it is generally a little higher in alcohol, the ABV, uh, shooting for around 12 or 13%. And the yeast tolerance of the D47 is, I believe, right in that range. I believe it might actually go to 13 or 14%. So it's right where we need it to be. And we also have our 5 grams of ferment, the yeast nutrient, that will definitely help. So, like I said, I have half a packet. One packet actually will make up to 5 gallons of wine. I generally use a whole packet, sometimes a half a packet. When I use the varietal grape juice concentrate, it doesn't struggle a whole. The yeast usually doesn't struggle a whole lot, so half a packet will be plenty for this. And so, um, just going to add that in. There's a lot still in the packet. I can hear it. We want to get all of that, as much as we can, out of there. Okay. And we need to top off our water to a gallon. Rinse the rest of the yeast out of the funnel while we do that. Everything likes to stick. Always needs a little help. Now it is stuck to my measuring spoon. Here's our fingers. I did sanitize my hands and then just took another little dip in the sanitizer. A little awkward here today, but that's okay. I'm also a little awkward, messy and awkward. That's me. Okay. Before I go all the way to a gallon, I am going to give it a mix. And to do that, I'm just going to put the bung in, cover the hole, and give it a good shake. Just to get all the water and the juice concentrate and the yeast nutrient, pectic enzyme, wine tannin, get all of that mixed up in there. Also, get some oxygen in there. Yeast needs oxygen to develop the colonies. Before you have alcohol present, you want to have oxygen. Once alcohol is present, then you do not want to introduce oxygen to your brew. So you can see all the bubbles. So we know there's oxygen in there. And we'll top off the water to a gallon, and right about where it says 1 gallon is where a gallon is. So we'll get that up to a gallon. Don't want to go too high because then you have a fermentation volcano, which isn't a problem either. Just attach a blow-off tube and it then you can manage it. But I'm going to go just a little more. I think that I'm going to live dangerously. I do have a blow-off tube. We'll watch it. We'll put it in a pan so that if it does erupt, it doesn't go all over the house. But I think we'll stop there. Just a teeny. Okay, I better stop. That is good. So now we need to do one more thing, and that is take a gravity reading. We test specific gravity at the beginning so that we know several things: how much sugars are in there, and if we need to add more sugar, we know we can do that. Should have done that before I went so high up, but I don't. Based on last time, I know I shouldn't need to add any sugar. This should come out around 1.050. So let's just get in there and test our specific gravity. The other thing that this does, it gives us a starting point, and then when the airlock finishes bubbling and we think maybe we're done with the fermentation, we can take another gravity reading. And what I like to do is take the reading and then wait another 3 to 5 days or week just to make sure if the gravity reading doesn't change between that second and third reading, then we know that it has stopped fermenting and we won't have a bottle bomb if we bottle at that point. So what do we have for a specific gravity reading? We are sitting at 1.060, a little higher than I thought. So that's okay. We're going to, like I said, we're going to shoot for a fairly high ABV. So that will get us there. What did I say? I need to make sure. And 1.060. The thing that I do is keep notes. As I mentioned at the beginning, I have the notes from the last time. If I do anything different, if I change anything, I always know I can refer back to, because I'll forget for sure. So I have the style of wine that it is, Pinot Noir, and today's date. Our starting gravity, SG, is 1.060. And we put in 1 quart of Nature Blessed Pinot Noir 100% concentrate juice. And we added water, purified drinking water, to 1 gallon. It's just under 1 gallon, or 96 ounces that we added. And we added 5 grams of Ferment O and 1/2 teaspoon of pectic enzyme, PE, 1/2 teaspoon of powdered tannin, and 1/2 packet of Lalvin D47 yeast. Did I forget anything? I think that was everything. So we can add this back in. And this has all been sanitized, so we don't have to worry about infecting our brew. We can add that back in. Okay, put that back in the sanitization bucket. And one more thing we need to do is add an airlock. And I like to use the S-Trap airlocks. They're more fun to watch. There's a couple different styles you can use. We fill it with Star San solution right out of our sanitization bucket to the fill line. And I like to put that in the stopper before I stick it in the fermenter so that I don't jam the stopper all the way into the jug. Get that affixed. And we'll attach our note to it so we know what we've got. We don't get confused. And we're just going to let that sit. Probably, generally, mine go about a week. Sometimes 2, it just depends. I keep mine in my fermentation room, which is just a room in the back of my house. We keep the temperature there usually around 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and that The yeast seems to like it at that temperature. Different yeasts work better at different temperatures. Some yeasts work better in colder temperatures. Like if you're making a beer yeast or beer, you might have an ale yeast that likes to have the temperature down closer to the 69 Fahrenheit. But for this, 72 is a good temperature. So we're going to put that in the fermentation room and let it sit, and we will check back when the activity stops in the airlock. As you can see, the Pinot Noir got very active. About 24 hours later, we had to put a blow-off tube on. We had a pan, so we caught most of it, but it does tend to spit out of the airlock too, so we had some overspray. It's always good to put an airlock or a blow-off tube on if you think you're going to have an active fermentation. Okay, we're back today, and we are continuing with our Pinot Noir. It has been 3 weeks because, well, we just got busy. Life kind of got in the way, but that doesn't hurt it. It just gives it more time to finish. So we are ready to take a reading, and I am fairly certain it will be done and dry. So we will take a reading. When we started, our starting gravity was 1.060. So this won't be a real high ABV. Probably could have added a little sugar to get that ABV up, but that's okay. It'll probably be in the 9.5 to 10 range. And at that time we used a quart of nature blessed Pinot Noir 100% concentrate and 3 quarts of water. And our yeast was Lalvin D47. So let's go ahead and take a reading, see where we're at. All of our equipment has been sanitized. You can see here I've got the sanitization tub right here. Sand tub, we're trying that name out. But got our hydrometer here, a little room. Oh, that is a pretty color. Nice ruby red color. Pinot Noir is one of my favorites. A little more there. Okay. We can see already that it is barely floating, so it is going to be pretty dry. We are sitting at 0.990. In case you heard that squeaking in the back, that's Jack. He's got his new squeaky toy. Again, we are at 0.990. So 0.990. Let's calculate that ABV right away, real quick here. We started at 1.060 minus our ending gravity of 0.990 equals 0.07 times 135, which is our multiplier. That gives us 9.45. We'll call it 9.5%. It's a little low for a Pinot, but that's okay. We just drink more of it. Speaking of which, let's give it a little taste. I'm pretty sure it is done. 990 is about as low as I've ever seen it go. And it's got a really pretty color to it. Smells like a Pinot. Nice ruby color. Really clear too. Almost has a little bit of a chocolatey aroma to it. Oh wow. Yeah, that is really good. It's a little thin, but we're going to do something about that a little later. We have some tricks we can do to give a little more body to it. So let's go ahead and rack. This is our first racking, so put this in here. This has been sanitized, so we can put that in there. There's not a lot left in there, but that's okay. We have a bucket here for elevation. Again, we'll put this up there, and you can, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is quite a bit of lees on the bottom. So we, as expected, so we're going to leave the filter cap on the bottom of our auto siphon, and let's just, we've got our clip on here. We found that probably won't need it with the narrow mouth. I'm going to take it off. We won't need the clip on the narrow mouth. It pretty much fits right in there. When we're siphoning out of something, a wide mouth like this, it's nice to have that clip to hold the auto siphon to the vessel, so we don't have it flying out of there by accident. So let's get this on here. Okay, and then put that end in the receiving vessel. This end will go about halfway down as always, and give it a few pumps to get it started. Get that down in there a little more so it doesn't want to go anywhere. And I think we are going. I'm just going to hold that so that it doesn't disturb the lees on the bottom. You've seen me rack several times, so won't make you watch the whole thing. We'll be back in just a minute. And when you hear the gurgling sound, you pull it up out of there so you don't get a lot of that lees in there. And we just get the rest of the wine out of the hose. And there we have it. Just put that over here so we don't make a big mess all over. And we're just a little shy of a gallon. That's pretty common, but we are up pretty close to the shoulder. I'd like for it to be a little higher, but that'll be okay. What we were going to do, as I mentioned earlier, we want to add a little body to the wine. As you know, in wineries, they age their wine in oak barrels, charred oak barrels. And at home, we don't have 1 gallon oak barrels, so we put oak staves in our wine to age it on oak. What we're going to do is add a French oak stave. Now, we've put that in water and we put it in the microwave for about 3 minutes to sterilize the oak stave and to kind of open up the wood pores a little bit. So we're just gonna, it's very hot. Let's use some heaters here. And that heat isn't going to hurt the alcohol because, well, for one, it's not that hot. I'm just kind of a wimp, but you know, the yeast is done, and that's what you want to try and prevent too much heat with the yeast, but we're not worried about that. We're done fermenting, so we just drop that in there, and that is going to give the wine, the Pinot, some body, and sometimes get a little bit of the vanilla flavor out of that. Last time I made this, I added a few other things just to kind of get a little more out of what we have. When you use a wine or a grape juice concentrate, you don't get the skins and the stems and the seeds and all of that. So you lose some of those qualities that you have when you're using the actual grapes. So what we're going to add along with the oak stave is a little bit of black cherry flavoring. It's an extract, and raspberry, and actually some allspice berries. Give it just a little bit of spice. Pinot Noir has a little bit of a spicy quality to it. So not going to add a lot. I have a medicine dropper. It's a 3 milliliter medicine dropper. It's been sanitized, and we're just going to add 3 milliliters. It's about just a little under a teaspoon. So we're just going to add some of this. One is the black cherry. So we're going to just get 3 milliliters of that, and just add, oh, the plunger's a little sticky. You can smell that black cherry. A little bit of the raspberry. There we go. That's a little better. And we're going to add, last time I added 2 allspice berries. I'm going to add 3. I'm feeling a little spicy today. So we'll add 3 of them in there. Let's go 4. That one's not very big. We're not going to leave them on very long, so it's not going to affect it that much. Down in there, sitting on top of the oak stave. There we go. So we have, you know what? We're going to add just a little bit of vanilla too. The oak usually puts a little vanilla in there, but we're going to add just a little bit, maybe 1.5 milliliters. Don't want to get too carried away. We're just trying to get it a little closer to what it would be if we were using actual grapes from the vineyard. This is actual grape juice concentrate, so it does come from the actual grapes. We just don't have all the stems and skins and all of that. So we've got all that in there. We're going to just put the lid on with an airlock and get that to go on there, and we're just going to let it sit about a week. We don't want to leave it on there too long, especially the allspice berries. They are very potent, and if you let them on too long, they could overpower the flavor. So we're just gonna leave that for about a week, and we'll check back in. You can see it must have been kind of gassy there. We're getting some activity there already. We did not degas, but we're gonna let it sit another week. It'll degas itself. So we'll check back. For you, it'll be a couple minutes, but see you in a week. Been exactly 9 days, so actually it's been 7 days, 1 week. If you remember, last we put a French oak stave, some allspice berries, and we kind of added just a touch of flavor of black cherry, raspberry, and vanilla. Not a lot, just a touch. As you know, wine can induce, or you can sense flavors, different flavors in different wines, based on the varietal and the terroir and the process that the vineyards use. A Pinot Noir tends to be kind of a berry forward flavor, cherry or raspberry. Oaking in oak barrels tends to give it kind of an oaky flavor, and a little bit of vanilla flavor comes through. So we just added those things. Now, we're not a vineyard. We're not selling this. This is me in my kitchen. So if you feel like I'm cheating or doing something wrong by adding flavors to it, don't do that for you. I'm in my kitchen doing this my way, and you like to create and do things, so we're going to do it this way. So today we're going to rack this Pinot Noir off to a pitcher, and then we're going to bottle it. We're going to take a little taste. Last week we took a gravity reading. We did not calculate the ABV, or I didn't write it down. Let's calculate the ABV. Grab our calculator, my glasses so I can read what I wrote down. Our starting gravity was 1.060, and our final gravity was 0.990. So we subtract 0.990 from 1.060. That gives us 0.07, and then we multiply that by 135. And that gives us 9.45. I'm going to call it 9.5%. It's a little low for a Pinot Noir, but you know what? We just get to drink a little more then. So we are ready to rack to a pitcher. We've got our Pinot elevated so that we can get our siphon going. We have our auto siphon. Everything's been sanitized in the sand tub with Star San solution. Let's get our tubing onto our auto siphon. First, we should probably take the lid off. Take the lid off. Our oak stave is floating on top. That smells good. That is a nice Pinot. We're going to just let's sanitize our fingertips just a little bit. I used some tongs, but I'm not seeing them here. Misplaced them. We'll just grab that oak stave out of there. And we'll set that aside. And we are ready to rack. First, let's take a little taste. We did all this work. We should try and taste it. Just a little bit. We don't need much. Oh, we need a little more than that. It's pretty clear. It's got a nice burgundy red flavor. It's got a good little bit of a berry nose to it. Oh boy, that is good. You can pick up a little bit of the raspberry in there. We added that, of course, but we've got a nice finish. That's really good. Put a little age on that, and that is going to be fantastic. All right, we are ready to rack to our pitcher. I like to rack to a pitcher first instead of straight into the bottles, because then I know exactly how much I have in case I need to. I only have 4 bottles. I suspect that's about all I'll get. Might have a little extra. Might have to scare up a 16-ounce bottle. You notice I've taken the end cap off. We racked this last time. There shouldn't be a lot of lees in there. So we'll just go ahead and put this about halfway down. know what? We're gonna put our clip on there because we have it. I keep forgetting to put that on. That helps tremendously when you're by yourself. So we're gonna slide that on the rim, go down about halfway. Give it a few pumps to get started. We are going. We just let that sit until we've racked all the way down. You'll notice I had to raise this a little higher. I didn't have to, but last time with just the bucket, it went a little slow, especially when we're going into bottles, because it wasn't quite higher than the bottom of this pitcher was, fermenter was a little bit lower than the top of the bottle. So we added a little box, get a little more height. So we'll be back in just a minute when this is finished. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and put our bottles in the sand tub. Just, I'm going to get almost all of it there. We'll stop there. All right. Now we just get the rest of out of the tube into the pitcher. Set that aside so I don't knock it over. Because you know me, I will. I'll knock it over if you give me half a chance. Okay. Yeah, we are at, what do we got here? What our measurements are. We are at 112 ounces. So that is going to be just a little over 4 750 milliliter bottles. So we'll get these out and get them out of the sanitization tub, and we'll be right back to rack to the bottles. All right, we've got our 4 bottles, 750 milliliter bottles sanitized. We're going to have a little more. I usually use just a 16 ounce swing top bottle. That's usually what I put in the fridge, and we have that right away. You can put it on the rack and let it age, bottle age, but we usually want to try it out. So that one will be our tester. Maybe we'll have that with dinner tonight. I don't know. All right, I don't think we're going to get this bottle full, but it would be nice to let you see in a clear bottle how this works. So yeah, that's barely a serving. So you won't get to see it fill completely, but anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, that's just a glass for me and Mrs. smoking and drinking. That's okay. I'm sure we'll enjoy it. Get every last drop out of the bottling wand. There we go. And next we'll get to corking. All right, we got our 4 full bottles here, and we have one about half. There's about 7 or 8 ounces in there. You don't want to bottle this. I mean, let this sit on your shelf or your wine rack, like I mentioned, because there is way too much headspace in there. That will oxidize. You do want to cap it and put it in your refrigerator and drink it. We'll probably have this with dinner, like I said, or as just an aperitif maybe before dinner. So anyway, we'll set that one aside. That one's done and ready to go in the fridge. You can see I have my corks here. You want to soak them in some sanitization liquid for about 10 minutes. Get them wet, kind of moisten the cork, get it to expand a little bit, and it'll hold in the bottle better, seal better, and so you want to let that sit in there for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. I've had it in there for about 15 minutes. So all right, so as far as corking with our stand type corker, just drop your cork in the top, press down on the spring loaded base, fit your top of your bottle in the spot on the top, and then you just pull down, Okay, that one, sometimes these corks are tapered on one end or the other. If it doesn't go in, you always want to make sure your corks are the right size for your bottles. There we go, that one finally went in there. It's a little rough, but then you take your uncorked bottle, not your corked one, and you just do the same thing. And that first one might have been slightly smaller opening, or that cork may have expanded just a little bit. But always inspect your bottles to make sure there are no cracks or chips on them, because that could cause them to fail and you could have all kinds of problems. Especially if you're using used bottles, you want to make sure and inspect them all really good, make sure there are no cracks or chips or anything like that. So as you can see, that's real simple for corked bottles. I'm going to do another video. I like to dress mine up. It's part of my hobby. I make labels. I just get the blank labels off the internet, and I print them with my printer at home, and I make nice labels. And then you can buy the little shrink wrap seal tops. I like to do that. That's fun too. Make it look a little bit professional, even though I'm not a professional by any means. I'm going to do a video on that, show you how we do that. It'll be a short one, but there you have it. That is the Pinot Noir. Let's take another taste of this. I didn't get enough the first time. And as we said, we are going to have to drink this soon anyway. So, I didn't mention it before, but there's a little bit of a, I'm going to try it again. Yeah, those allspice berries give it that little bit of twang, or that spice that a Pinot Noir has. So, okay, as I said, that's the Pinot Noir. As always, thanks for tuning in to Smoking and Drinking. Remember to, and Prost.